Barcelona, there is a building which is unique among its kind. Weighing more than 200,000 tons, it has whimsical geometric forms. No other construction with these dimensions uses stone as building material. The Sagrada Família is the dream of one of history's most original architects.
Gaudí, without a doubt, was a visionary who looked to the future.
Envisioned to astonish the world, after 136 years, the building is still under construction. No one could foresee its date of completion until very recently.
The Sagrada Família is an enormous laboratory for construction.
Today, a historical shift poses a major challenge, finishing its construction in 2026. This year will mark 100 years since the death of its creator, Antoni Gaudí, but more than a third remains to be built.
We are sure that we will make it by 2026.
To this end, a new construction system working against the clock has been set in motion. When finished, it will become the planet's tallest church. Just like every other morning, Jose Encina, the main crane operator, begins his shift 20 minutes early. That's the time it takes for him to reach the cabin at a height of 459 feet and check his work equipment. Today is a special day on the construction site. The first of 4 stone bridges that will connect the towers of the evangelists with the Tower of Jesus Christ will be put into place. Jose Encina controls the operation from 140 meters in the air, vertigo-inducing height. Despite having performed similar actions hundreds of times, the tension is palpable. The bridge measures 3.5 meters wide and weighs 8 tons, 2 more tons than an adult African elephant. Nothing can go wrong.
Vamos girando.
In order to move these pieces with the utmost precision and in any direction, the construction team has designed their own tool. The operators call it the octopus.
9200, estará puntito.
Vale, José, verá, dame un toque de carro atrás, muy suave.
The most delicate aspect of this operation is without a doubt the maneuvering. None of the points can ever be in danger of breaking, say due to an impact with the crane. Therefore, the stability of the entire maneuver is the most delicate aspect in and of itself.
Vale, y ahora sí, ahora un toque izquierda, José, ahora te lo digo bien, ¿eh? Un toque izquierda también muy suave. Vale, otro toque izquierda igual que el que me has dado, José. Espera, espera. Sí, sí. Vale, tranquilos.
Sí, está encarada la punta, pero... Sí.
Vale, José. Ahora quiero que bajes, apoyes 500 kilos y me avises.
Sí, hombre, tengo 500 kilos apoyados.
This is fitted perfectly.
Encajado a la perfección. Buena señal. Para nosotros la primera
The first time always has us a bit nervous with anticipation. An unforeseen event can occur, and among the thousands or millions of possible unforeseen events that we may face, this can't get past us. Well, the result is more than obvious. We are very satisfied.
Work on the Sagrada Família began in 1882. The beginnings are difficult. It is an expiatory temple, which can only be financed by donations from the faithful. Construction is interrupted with the Civil War and resumes in the 1950s. For decades, collections are organized to finance a project which has never received public subsidies. When at last the central nave is closed in 2010, Pope Benedict XVI dedicates the basilica, and the entire world discovers Sagrada Família's interior. Since then, the visitors have not stopped arriving, and bring with them more money for construction. A desire begins to take shape right then. Might it be possible to finish the temple for the centenary of Gaudi's death? Given the magnitude of the challenge, success would only be possible with a new construction proposal. In 2014, project management entered into a collaboration with a world-renowned engineering firm.
The challenges we faced were how to complete the project in 10 years. Building 40% of the project in 10 years meant speeding up construction by a factor of 10, while also doing more and more of it off-site and less of it on-site, because the amount of available space on-site decreases.
With all the constraints, the management team makes its decisions and puts its plan into motion.
We had a lot of volume to build and relatively little time. And the question was, would we be able to do it?
The construction process begins 80 kilometers from Barcelona. In this gigantic space, a new technique allows the construction pace to be multiplied by 10. It consists of pre-assembling tensioned stone panels with stainless steel bars. With these, the 6 central towers will be built. The modules are assembled in structures that reproduce the diameter and incline of the towers at the Sagrada Família. The system is reminiscent of children's construction games. As the project supervisor, Jaume Torri Guitart is responsible for making sure that everything fits perfectly.
It's like a Lego game with 25 square meter pieces that weigh 25 tons, but we only have a 1 millimeter margin to make these huge pieces fit together.
The use of pre-assembled stone modules allows the towers to be built at a speed that until recently was unimaginable. This is the only way to finish the work by the centenary of Gaudi's death. The team works under the pressure of the countdown. 8 years remain.
This allows us to accomplish what Gaudí had always wanted. Build a stone building and to build it as light as possible.
Vale, anem a apoya, eh? Apoya y para. Tampoco es volver al origen.
This is a bit like going back to the origins, but with completely updated technology.
When it came to building the Sagrada Família, Antoni Gaudí had things clear. He would use stone from the quarries of Montjuic, the mountain that sits between the sea and the city.
Why did Gaudí use the Montjuic stone? Well, basically because it was a stone which was extremely resilient and had some very interesting color variations. We can see the purple strip below. We look a little higher and see a more ochre strip.
On this mountain, up to 28 different quarries were mined. However, new uses for the area and the proximity of a munitions warehouse caused stone extraction to come to an end in 1957.
When the Montjuic quarries were closed, a serious problem was posed for the Sagrada Família that was difficult to solve. We had to search all over the world for a stone which would fulfill the characteristics of that found at Montjuic.
In order to replace the stone, shipments have been brought from Scotland, Cantabria, Galicia, France and England. In the quarries of Ingamara in Lugo, extreme precautions are taken. Today, they are using blasting cord to detach an immense block of rock. Mining started 25 years ago. Each season, the stonemasons spend 3 or 4 months here extracting huge blocks of stone. This is a natural resource that cannot be grown or cultivated and must be properly extracted to preserve its integrity. Carlos Perez supervises the extraction of stone from the different quarries.
During a single year, we provide the Sagrada Família with about 4 million tons of granite, both raw and slab.
This granite mass weighs about 400 tons, as much as 40 city buses.
Since we are looking for the best of these gigantic blocks that we've pulled out, only 20% is used.
With each extraction, the same process is repeated. The softer parts that aren't suitable are removed, and the new cuts that will allow the blocks to be transported in trucks are marked. And when the most difficult part is completed, an unexpected problem arises.
The machine isn't working. Now stopped. Until the control is fixed, it has to be stopped.
And the block is uncut. They have to act fast. This setback can compromise the entire operation. In the quarry, the machine that should cut the 400-ton block still isn't working.
The machine's operation center broke down, and now it has to be repaired. It has to be seen by an electrician.
Each hour lost compromises the shipment's delivery. A solution is needed, an alternative method to be able to cut and move the stone.
This stone is in high demand not only for the Sagrada Família, but for other clients as well. And so yes, sometimes we can find ourselves with a bit of a problem. But they are always solved. It's by order or priority, and the Sagrada Família has that with us.
Jorge Teixeira is the veteran here. They call him the Portuguese. He goes over the vein of the stone with the drill. He places wedges in each hole, and little by little, the pressure increases.
For me, when it comes to stone, after 29 years working, there are no secrets.
In the end, what the machine can't do, humans have to solve. Galician granite is particularly valuable for the construction of the Sagrada Família. It has the right hardness, and the rust produced by the rainwater filtering through gives it a colour similar to the Montjuic sandstone used by Gaudi. In addition, the dimensions of the blocks will allow large pieces to be carved.
Well, for us it means being part of Gaudi's dreams, of creating something emblematic, something truly beautiful that will last for centuries.
From the different quarries, the blocks are transported to a single deposit where their transformation will begin. Antoni Gaudi is an architect recognized around the world for his creative genius. His most outstanding works have been declared World Heritage Sites. But when he joined the Sagrada Família project, he was just 31 years old and was completely unknown. In addition, Gaudi was not the first architect. The initial assignment went to Francisco de Paula Villar, who designed a church according to the tastes of the time. A year after construction began, Villar resigned. Gaudi then took on a mission that would mark the rest of his life.
From Villar, Gaudi inherits a neo-Gothic project in the conventional style with buttresses that served as crutches. Gaudi changes the project's dimensions. He makes a much larger project and begins to remove all these artificial elements. He also starts to create a much more diaphanous space that's much cleaner and which allows for light to enter. And he makes this happen with a new structure and a new form that up until that point had not existed.
Gaudi dedicated 43 years to the Sagrada Família project. He worked on it exclusively for the last 12. He always said that his client, God, was in no hurry. And aware that he would not see this colossal work finished, he concentrated all his efforts on raising the nativity facade, ignoring the interior. His intention was very clear.
He carries out what we would today consider marketing and decides to build a facade that will serve as a sample for what the rest of the temple will look like, and with this, fuel the donations that will make its construction possible.
On June the 7th, 1926, Antoni Gaudi was hit by a tram. He died 3 days later, just before turning 74. The entire city bid him farewell with honours, convinced that his work should continue. Two soccer fields. This is the area occupied by the Sagrada Família's stone depository. Here in Les Borges Blancs, 150 kilometers from Barcelona, the blocks that have been extracted from the different quarries are stored. In the construction of the 6 towers alone, 25,000 tons of stone will pass through the hands of Carlos Ferraz. A sample is extracted and prepared for analysis from each block that arrives. Depending on its characteristics, it will occupy a more or less demanding place in the building's structure.
For us, quality is very important, precisely to guarantee the building's durability. In this case, we performed resistance tests with the pressure and flexion of each of the 15,000 pieces that will be placed in the central towers. Possibly there is no other construction project in the world that carries out quality control of stone, which is as exhaustive as ours.
Once the quality has been verified, it's decided which piece should come off each block. Pre-cut and with the assigned form, it will be sent to an industrialist for final transformation. From the beginning of work on the Sagrada Família, 50 different types of stone have been used. It will be almost a year before these blocks reach their place at the top of the basilica. First, they must go through a process of radical transformation. Octavio Vasquez was an architect when one summer he began to draw pieces for a local stonemason who was already working for the Sagrada Família. Today, 23 years later, he runs his own workshop and is the main supplier of carved stone for the Gaudi temple.
The Sagrada Família is really a very demanding client. Never in the world of stonework and stone were margins of zero error used. That is something that sounds more like metal machining than stonework. So, when we were told that the margin of error was zero, at first we thought it would be impossible.
Our block has travelled more than 800 kilometres from the Bourges Blanc to be carved and machine-worked. Here, Octavio spares no effort to incorporate the latest technology into an ancient trade that's in danger of extinction.
There has to be a balance between the advanced technology we use and the human hand.
After the cut by numerical control with diamond wire, our stone, which already has a lintel shape, arrives to a critical part of the process which is impossible to perform by machine.
Can't you hear? It's loose. It's going to fall. I've been working on this for 34 years, and like this, I've had 5,000 or so. It's loose now.
The imperfection that the stonemason achieves when carving is an added value. That's why the beauty of all the stones we make is that no two are alike. By each stonemason's type of stamping, I can distinguish who has worked each stone. This, for example, is Vicente's. This is Pepe's. And this is from Antonio, because while apparently everything is identical, each stonemason contributes his personality to each piece.
This pot weighs 1 kilo, and we make about 15,000 strikes a day. Either you like this, or it's impossible to do, because it's a lot of strikes.
To avoid the collapse of its suppliers, Sagrada Família's technical management diversifies its orders. Today, there are 7 different industrialists carving stone for the temple.
There's pressure to meet the demands of the Sagrada Família deadlines, because if you fail, you drag others along with you. The sword of Damocles is always hanging over you.
The threshold is already finished. Along with the rest of the shipment, it will again cross the peninsula to be mounted in Galera. moving the bulk of the construction away from the temple is an opportunity rather than an inconvenience.
The Sagrada Familia is an enormous laboratory for construction. Here we have had to invent construction methods because we don't have, say, solutions that are in a catalog or a book.
And the key to the new construction method is called post-tensioning. To join the stones and ensure that each panel has the necessary strength, high-quality stainless steel bars are used, which pass through the blocks and are tensioned with a hydraulic system. The result is a lightweight module which is very compact and resistant.
Post-tensioning has existed for years in construction, but it had never been applied to a building made only of stone such as this one. This system allows us to work with a higher quality, but at the same time work faster.
Our threshold is already in Galera to form one of the panels that will be installed in the Tower of the Virgin Mary. The pre-assembly is carried out at ground level to be safer and more accurate. Every hour invested here means less risk time in something in the construction work. Raising one level of the Tower of the Virgin requires 5 weeks of work in Galera, but only 2 days to place it in the Sagrada Família.
It has been a change of mentality. It no longer has to do with the prefabricated material itself, but rather with the industrialization.
In the construction of the 6 towers, 21,000 cut stones, 18,000 pieces of steel, and 200,000 screws will be used.
We carry out quality control for 100% of the elements. We don't want anything to fail in our construction process.
With all these elements, 826 panels will be mounted, and all in record time. Both in strategic decisions and in the smallest details, the entire work plan is imbued with perfectionism. Some stone edges will conceal lightning rod cables, screwed to a metal cover to keep them in place.
It will be 90 or 100 meters high. And trying to make them look like a stone is, well, people won't be able to see it. But they say that God is all-seeing.
Throughout the years, many sculptors have collaborated on the Sagrada Família. Francesc Fajula is one of them. As in any great construction project done with a team, individual contributions should always be adjusted to the needs of the entire team.
One of the challenges of this sculpture was that it was at a height of about 40 meters and could be seen from a distance. With this, and this is what I took into account when making the model, the profiles, the contours, and the shadows they produce took on a special importance. The detail from afar is not appreciated.
Once finished, this statue of Mary Magdalene will take its place next to the empty tomb where the resurrection of Christ is represented. The date for its placement was set weeks ago. The sculptor Fajula cannot afford any mistakes, and there's very little time left. Since 2012, the responsibility of completing the Sagrada Família has fallen upon the shoulders of Jordi Fowley. Passionate about Gaudi, he looks for the brilliant architect's essence in what was his test run for the Barcelona temple, the crypt of the Colonia Güell church. Gaudi wanted to adapt the construction to the laws of gravity. For this, he spent 10 years creating a gigantic inverted model with strings and weights that would allow him to calculate and design the church's structure.
Here, Gaudí built, for the first time, a structure of inclined columns. With the experience of this construction, it was decided to plan inclined columns for the future Sagrada Família project.
Proyecto de la Sagrada Família. Las columnas inclinadas recogen...
Inclined columns distribute a building's weight better than vertical ones.
Llegó a esta conclusión.
Gaudí came to this conclusion, and he explained it in a very simple way. He said that when a walker stops to rest, he never places his cane vertically, but rather at an incline.
Sino inclinado.
That way, the arm with the cane supports the person's weight far better.
El peso de la persona. Si además abrimos las piernas.
If we also open our legs, we are more stable.
Y de esta forma.
And in this way, for example, we are supported by 3 inclined points that are going to seek the person's weight.
El peso de la persona.
In the Sagrada Familia, there are inclined columns in the Passion facade, and within the central nave, all the columns that branch out like trees are also inclined. This is not Gaudi's only innovation. Observing nature, he identified geometric shapes that mathematicians were already aware of, but that no one had ever applied to architecture.
Esto es un cilindro.
This is a cylinder that is formed by an infinite number of vertical lines. To gather the light, it is better that the cylinder be in place and that the networks be inclined. This is the hyperboloid.
Hyperboloid, paraboloid, helicoid. At the end of his life, Gaudi became a geometer. And thanks to these simple and repetitive patterns, today his work can be continued even when more detailed information is lacking. What can be translated into numbers is easily reproduced. But how do you reproduce what only the soul can grasp? Fortunately, Gaudi's vision has found an essential ally in our days. From this study, Joan Villagrau has dedicated the last 18 years to the design of all the stained glass windows in the Sagrada Familia. His son Anthony is responsible for expressing the artist's intention by combining the range of glasses.
Una mica clar.
Per això deia, de fet...
I think that Gaudí now would not have made the stained glass windows that he would have made in the year 1920. I am certain.
Seguro.
The attempt that I have made with these stained glass windows is not to show images, but rather to create an ambience.
In the basilica, the stained glass windows enhance the path of the sunlight throughout the day, from bluish and cold in the morning to reddish and warm in the afternoon.
You have to play with these elements. You have to take them into account like you do salt or the pepper in a stew. It cannot be abused, but it can be used.
Pero se puede usar.
Finishing the Sagrada Familia is only possible by deciphering the intentions of its creator, who died almost a century ago.
Gaudí ends up creating a very unique, very complex architecture that must be shown in 3 dimensions. He couldn't just express it in blueprints like the other architects did. He thus turns to the 3D of the time, which are the modelers.
The modeler's workshop is a key piece in the story. In it, Gaudí shaped his calculations and his imagination. But during the Spanish Civil War, anarchist fire destroyed the plans and sketches and collapsed the roof, crushing the models. Albert Patoles is now one of the most veteran workers at the Sagrada Familia. He started here as an apprentice and has dedicated his professional life to piecing together the clues left behind by the master.
With the fragments of the models that were destroyed, we were able to study, understand, and interpret what Gaudí wanted to project in the idea of the temple. Here we see a very clear example of how a fragment from Gaudí's time, which is this darker fragment, gives us the geometric information to study and understand, and to be able to reproduce and finish generating the information that we lack.
Generar la información que nos falta.
Of the 80,000 fragments recovered, 16,000 have provided information for the current design. Today, in the technical office, a group of architects intends to make progress on one of the Sagrada Familia's most delicate designs. The Tower of Jesus Christ is now the crown jewel.
The tower itself has a massive vertical disproportion. The dimensions of 18 meters in diameter by 60 meters in height has no other reference in the world. With virtual reality glasses, we put ourselves in the position of the future visitor. And how they will perceive this space, what they can observe, and how we need to place the decorative elements.
Que aleshores la idea seria que des d'aquí estem veient ja el nucli.
Aquí tens més proximitat i més detall, no?, del firmament.
Exacte.
O sigui que tens un punt de vista privilegiat.
Gaudí left instructions on how the tower's exterior shape should be, but he didn't leave any graphic indication for the interior. Using virtual reality techniques, the architects dismiss or accept proposals in order to complete the genius's vision. Once finished, the Tower of Jesus Christ will measure 172 meters. It will be the new roof of Barcelona, so to speak, but without rising above Montjuic.
Gaudí did not want to surpass the height of the mountain that God had created beside the city of Barcelona.
Gaudí's disciples strive to follow the instructions that their master began to conceive 136 years ago. Today, technological advances and a new construction strategy allow us to dream of completing the Sagrada Família by 2026, when the centenary of its creator's death will be celebrated. The challenge is on. These ceramic fragments are known throughout the world. They're located at Parc Güell in Barcelona, another of Antoni Gaudí's emblematic works. David Puig is number 2 in construction management for the Sagrada Família and has dedicated his doctorate to studying Gaudí's project for his universal temple. Today he approaches the park's benches, where the Transadist style, one of the Catalan architect's unmistakable hallmarks, can best be appreciated.
We can consider that Gaudí is the inventor of this technique and the person who popularizes it. Before this, mosaics were used, which was a technique of making square tiles much more elegant, so to speak, and Gaudí turns this technique around and uses conventional ceramic pieces to generate a much more aesthetic effect.
In the temple to which he dedicated his life, Gaudí applied and refined techniques such as the Transadis that he had already experimented with in previous projects.
At Parc Güell, Gaudí uses discarded materials, and in Sagrada Família, he instead uses Murano glass, which was used to make mosaics because it has to be much more resistant and more durable.
Most of the Sagrada Família mosaics are in their final stages, almost 100 meters above the ground, just above the bell towers. Any job at that height requires true specialists.
In Barcelona, almost always, as in any city, you look up. In contrast, we are always looking down, unlike most people.
The Sagrada Família is an exceptional building. The fact that construction began in the 19th century means that today we are simultaneously projecting the future, building the present, and restoring the past.
We are painting it with a special mortar. It has cracked a bit for whatever reason, so with this special mortar, any pore or fissure is covered, and it is completely waterproof.
Prevention and restoration are vital in keeping small problems from becoming structural damages. The terminals of the Passion facade were completed in the 70s. Now much of the old Transadis is replaced and fixed with higher quality products.
This is the photo of the original. Let's say that this is the part here, and this is what had fallen, which is what is missing and what we are finishing the restoration of. Gaudí was a genius, just like Messi. There are few people like this.
In recognition of this genius, in 2005, UNESCO declared the Nativity facade and the crypt as a World Heritage Site. They're the only parts of the temple that Gaudí was able to finish. After his death, the portico was exposed to the elements for 80 years, and now its restoration is urgent. A recent high-precision scan will provide millimetric information on its current status and will allow rehabilitation to be undertaken with maximum security. Everything will be done so that in 2026 it will once again shine with its full splendor.
Vamos bien, Miguel, vamos bien. Vamos bien.
Today, the panels that will form level 10 of the Tower of the Virgin arrive to the temple. Almost a year after being extracted from the quarry, our stone reaches its final destination.
Vamos a entrar, estamos entrando, vamos a apoyar, apoya fuerte, José. ¿Toca?
Con la zorra panjat, tío.
¿Toca? ¿Cuánto le queda para apoyar?
Medio milímetro.
No baja, ¿no?
No.
Vale, pushem. Nada, José, que pues no va bien. Vamos a volver a subir.
Suddenly, the panel does not fit. It has to be determined why.
Vale, tot pinta que és això, eh?
Half a turn of the screw over a tension steel bar has caused a variation of 2 millimeters. The problem is solved by fining the lace ball down a bit.
Ara sí. Era del mig, tio. Era del mig. Llevamos más de 100.
We've placed more than 100 of the panels, and this is the first time this has happened. The first one, I assure you. This is also a bit to make you aware of the construction system's level of accuracy and exactitude.
Este sistema constructivo.
With the problem solved, the rest of the level 10 panels are mounted on the same day without incident. $4.5 million visitors a year is a dose of additional stress for a construction site. For that fact, the Sagrada Família is also exceptional. Since the risk is very high, safety measures must likewise be high.
We are aware of the danger that's present in this project. We're aware.
A single oversight at this height could cause a disaster. Therefore, all efforts are aimed at minimizing errors.
All the tools, anything that goes out of the basket, has to be tied to security elements. It has a little hole. I tie it to my body. And now there is no danger.
Abel, de tu lado derecho, un poquito hacia afuera.
Ahora se ha visto la prueba.
Now you've seen the test. If anything falls, even if it's small, it reaches high speeds. Of course, here we are at 90 meters. Imagine if something were to fall. It could hit a tourist. It could even hit one of our workers, and that can do a lot of damage, yes.
Meanwhile, oblivious to what is happening above their heads, every day tens of thousands of tourists mill about in wonder, admiring a living construction that never stops growing.
Gaudí
conceived of the Sagrada Familia not just as an architectural work, but as a musical instrument of colossal dimensions to produce music at the level of the entire city.
A nivel de toda la ciudad.
Musician and architect Galdric Santana has studied this little-known wish of Gaudí, who created prototypes of the bells to be hung in the towers.
Esta catedral tiene más torres de las que tendría una catedral.
This cathedral has more towers than a normal cathedral in order to have all the notes of an organ keyboard and create a grand exterior sound.
Órgano para unos grandes sonidos exteriores.
In his musical project, Gaudí assigned a different sound to each of the basilica's facades. In the Towers of the Nativity, he placed hyperboloidal bells to emulate the sound of the carillon. In the Tower of the Virgin on the apse, annular bells with a vibration similar to the tuning fork. In the Passion facade, he imagined a large organ trumpet. and he reserved the traditional bells for the glory facade. This gigantic instrument was to be heard within a radius of almost 2 miles. In Gaudi's dream, the city would become the auditorium for never-before-seen celebrations. On level 30 of the construction project, preparations are completed to put in place the sculpture of Maria Magdalena. This morning, the sculpture for Gyula is an exceptional spectator. For the statue, the moment of truth arrives.
Vale, José, esto está listo. Puedes ir subiendo, marcas todo el ritmo y vamos para el sitio.
The operation requires the utmost care. Before touching the ground, it's necessary to track laterally so that the structure can take its place beside the empty tomb.
Ja pots començar a tibar, els dos alhora, eh? Bueno, saps que no treballi més un que l'altre. Treballes un, portes l'altre. Treballes un, portes l'altre.
There are many veterans on the team of operators. Some are believers, others are not. But everyone approaches their work conscious of the fact that they are collaborating with something that goes beyond simple construction.
Tal como van, no pares. Sigue, sigue, apoya, apoya, apoya todo. Perfecto, José.
Lo he vivido con emoción.
I've experienced it with emotion. The silence of all the professionals who were working had an almost religious devotion in and of itself. It was something with an impressive degree of solemnity.
Solemnidad impresionante.
And so day by day, shoulder to shoulder, stone by stone, knowing the responsibilities and the demands, each member of this team faces the final stretch of an exciting adventure.
The goal is to have the Sagrada Familia for hundreds of years and for many centuries. The goal is for it to be a structure that lasts for as long as the pyramids have lasted, for as long as other buildings with similar characteristics to ours have endured.
And with this, we will fulfill Gaudí's desire to finish this church, which he started to build and left as a challenge for future generations.
Creo que la Sagrada Familia es uno de estos.
I believe that the Sagrada Familia is one of those extraordinary and rare examples of structures which are transcendent. It has an exceptional power of communication which encompasses the human spirit.
El espíritu humano.